MudRFunR here. Today I'm working on an 08 Malibu and I'm going to be replacing the rear spring. Found that little piece in my driveway. That's the only way I noticed that it was broken. It actually was riding quite nice. But found that in the driveway and found that to be broken. So this is the broken spring that I took out last night from the other side. And today I'm going to be doing this side. When you buy the springs, they come in a match set and you need to change both of them. And the set that I'm using is called Tough Coil by Moog. So these are the tools that I used on the other side, and you'll probably need something similar. Of course, I've got the air ratchet to take the wheel off, 19mm socket, and I use the extension to take the hubcaps off and on, put them back on. You'll need a torque wrench to torque the wheel nuts. I needed a pry bar. I also needed this pry bar. It's probably about 6 feet long. I used an 18mm wrench and 18mm socket to remove the lower control arm, and a scraper just to clean a few things up. Vice grip that I used on this punch, used that to knock the bolt out. An alignment tool with a nice round tip on it, and I used the brass hammer on the bolt. A little bit of penetrating oil, and I also used this old brush with some 80-90 gear oil just to coat some of the rusty things on the car. And of course you're going to need a replacement spring. Now you'll see that these springs are not alike, but apparently they're not always going to be exactly identical to the stock one. So this is an aftermarket. And you're going to need a match set, one for each side. And you're also going to need one jack, two jacks, and at least one jack stand. So I've already got the wheel up in the air, and I've got the jack over here where the jacking location is, factory one. And in the back here I've got a jack stand underneath, and it's up by the frame. You don't want the jack stand anywhere on the control arm here, because it'll just get in your way. Woohoo! Nothing's on there. And this is an ideal time to check your brake pads, which I just did. They look good. So I've already sprayed that bolt with some penetrating oil. So you want to just take the pressure off of it. See how it just started to lift right there? That's where you want to leave it. Okay, so this is an 18mm on both sides. And make sure the pressure is off of that. Just putting the nut back on part way. Brass hammer. Got my punch. guess I could have lifted it up a little higher, but I didn't. And then you just need to let this jack down. And you'll probably have to get that jack out from underneath it just to get the spring out the rest of the way. Oh wow, that one's broken too. How do you like that? Both springs are broken. Just ducky. You can see it right here. This one's busted off too. Wow, I don't know how long that's been broke. Okay, so I'm just going to pry that down. Get the jack out of the way. You can't see. You can pull this down quite a ways and just have to wiggle that spring out of the top. Or pry bar. Don't wreck that rubber. There we go. Look at that, broke in. Wow. So the rubber is stuck on the spring there, and shouldn't take too much to pry that off. And you'll see where the spring has made a groove in here already. So I usually try and put that back to where it was, just so that the rubber is already worn in that particular spot. And the bottom one just pops off of there too. And I'm only taking them off just so I can clean all of this up in here and clean up the rust right here on this, and then I'll get back to you. So here's where the 80-90 gear oil comes in. I got a wire brush and cleaned the rust off of, well, the oxidation off of this aluminum part. And I'm just putting a little bit of gear oil on there just to protect it. Just putting a little on my brush, and I'm going to do the same up around here and underneath where the rubber goes, just so that it'll protect it from further rust. We are in Canada and this thing is getting pretty rotten already. Okay, so I'm going to clean these rubbers off, clean that dirt and everything else, also to keep the rust away. So if your spring set comes with a white mark, that white mark goes to the top, and if it doesn't have a white mark, you can see how these coils are tighter together than the bottom ones. The bottom ones are separated further. So if it's not marked with white, then the tighter coils go to the top. So take your spring, white side to the top, pull that down as far as you can, and that part goes back up there. And this is how I had to do the other one. I had to put this rubber inside there and then lift it in there, just like that. Now it's going to look a little crooked, but once you get the jack back underneath it and lift this up, this is all going to straighten back out. Now, you want this thing, your jack, somewhere where it's not going to slide up. There's a little edge right here where my jack can hook into, and you want it far enough away from this end so that it's not going to interfere when you go to put this back on. The the rubber looks like it's going on straight. And you'll probably end up with something similar here where you're going to have to push it to line it up. It's probably just the pressure from the jack that's pushing it the other way. And this is where the small pry bar comes in, right here. There it goes. Make sure it keeps slipping into place there. So by now you've got good tension on this spring, so don't let your jack slip. That could really shoot out. Okay, so I've got this pointy bar right here and my bolt. Trying to get the other end lined up there so I can get the bolt in. Okay, I've got it started. Now just be careful, don't bugger up the threads on the end here. And once it gets to the end here, you'll have to make sure that you've got it lined up. And it isn't. So this is where the big, long pry bar is coming in. I'm just hooking it into that control arm there. And my doorway is in the way. There we go. Control arm, it seems to kind of twist. Bar keeps hitting up against my doorway. I guess I parked the car in the wrong spot. Okay, so let's try it with this one. Needs to come out a little bit. Up and out. So yeah, it might take a little prying to get that thing on there, but once you get the bolt in, then you can let the pressure off the jack and just tighten that back up. So tight. I don't know the torque on that, but it's got a lock nut on it, so it's not going anywhere. And then that's it. Inspect the brakes if you already haven't, and put the wheel back on. Good to go. So I've got the wheel nuts torqued to 115 foot-pounds. Don't know if that's the right torque, but that's what I've always used. These nuts are just plastic, so I just like to put an extension on my socket here, and you really don't want to turn too hard on there. So, there it is. So the only thing left to do is clean up my mess and take the car for a test drive. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe if you will. By subscribing to my channel, you are greatly helping me out. So, thank you again.